guys, it's Lauren, and we're on to week 2 of the All-in-One Knit Along. So this week what we're going to be doing is joining the legs so that we can knit this onesie in the round. We'll be knitting the chart on the front of the onesie, and we'll be adding these fun little tail feathers onto the bum. So this week we'll be knitting up to the point where we bind off 2 stitches at each underarm right before we join the arms to the onesie, which we'll be doing in week 3. So I have a tutorial for you this week on how to join the tail feathers. I would definitely recommend watching it because it's going to show you a few different ways of attaching them. One way addresses if you're using a contrast color, how to do that differently. And I also showed in my onesie what happens if you flip the tail feather around and have the purl side facing out instead of the knit side, and how that looks different. You'll see that my tail feathers actually curl in a little bit rather than curling up as they do in the original onesie that I knit, and so now you have that option as to how you would like them to look. Alright, so we've finished our 2 legs and now it's time to join them. So you just want to follow the instructions, and it's going to say knit 1 and then make 1 right. And then after that, it's just going to say to knit across that leg, and then we will join them. When you reach the end of the first leg, it's going to say to cast on 2 stitches. Now you could turn this leg around to cast on 2 stitches here, or you could just cast on 2 stitches onto this leg. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that using a knit cast on, and then using the yarn from the leg you just knit across, we're going to knit across the other leg, and now these 2 legs will be joined. And again, you're going to increase at the end of this row and then follow the instructions to keep increasing at the edges until we join for the back side. Alright, so we've just finished those 5 increase rounds, and it should look something like this. And the next step is going to be to cast on 2 stitches. And again, you can just use a knit cast on or a cable cast on. So 1 and 2. And then you're going to want to turn your work around so you can start working it in the round with the purl side out. So you're going to have it just like this, and then you're just going to start purling across and in the round, and then continue purling in the round. Now I just want to make sure that the setup round reads purl 32, place marker, purl 65, place marker, purl 33. There was a mistake in this first publication of this pattern, so I just want to make sure you have it right. And then you'll just continue to purl in the round until we get to the tail feathers, where I'll have another tutorial for you. Alright, so today I'm going to be showing you how to attach the tail feathers to the onesie. And just as a reminder, the front crotch is going to be a little bit higher and the back crotch is going to be a little bit lower. So as you can see, we've just started doing our feather chart on the front of the onesie, and we are ready to attach the tail feathers onto the back of the onesie. Now make sure to watch this whole video through before attaching your tail feathers, because I'm going to show you a few different ways to attach them, and I want to make sure that you make the right choice for you. So the first way to do this is as the pattern states, and we're going to have the purl side of the tail feather and the purl side of the onesie facing. So you have the knit side of the tail feather facing out, and we're just going to purl those 2 stitches together to attach it to the onesie. So we're just going to purl into both stitches, and then go like this, and then take them both off the needle like that, and they're attached. So we're just going to do that across this entire feather, and doing this with off of a stitch holder or a double pointed needle will work really easily. So we're just going to purl across the whole feather. Alright, so I've just attached my first tail feather, and as you can see, if you're using a contrast color, then it's not going to look that pretty. So I'm going to suggest that if you are using a contrast color for the tail feathers, that instead of purling the 2 stitches together, as you attach the feather, you actually knit them. And so for my next feather, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to show you the difference of how it looks. However, if your tail feathers are the same color as your onesie, don't worry about that. Just do as the instructions say and purl across and it will look just fine. But I'm going to knit 2 stitches together across this next one, and then you can see the difference. So as you can see here, knitting across the tail feather, if you're using a contrast color, looks much cleaner and nicer, and that would be optimal if you're going to do that. Now the last thing I'm going to show you is another option, which is to attach your tail feather so the purl side is facing up. The knit side will tend to ruffle up a little bit and flip up, which you'll see in the pictures of this onesie. You know, some people think it's cute that it ruffles up, and I do too, but I wanted to try it so the tail feathers didn't ruffle up, just to see what it would look like and to give you guys another option for attaching the tail feathers. So I'm going to show you what the difference is if you actually have the purl side out and attach the feather. And again, if you're using the same color, just attach it purl-wise, but I'm going to be knitting to attach this tail feather since I am using a contrast color. Alright, so now you can see what the difference is between these 3 feathers. You can see this one's not flipping and these guys are flipping up, so again, it's just totally up to your preference. And also, not to confuse you, this first row of tail feathers, you're actually only attaching 2 tail feathers, not 3. I just did this to show you. And another tip is, it says to attach them across the center 22 stitches. However, because you have an odd number of stitches on the back, it's going to be 1 stitch offset. So you can either knit 21 and then start attaching the tail feathers, or purl, or you can purl 22 stitches and then start the tail feathers. So either one is right. And another tip, when you're done, you can weave in the ends that you have into the back of this tail feather, and it will look very pretty. So I hope that was helpful. So I hope you have fun knitting the body this week, and I'll see you in week 3.